Today's guest is a speaker at the upcoming Stepmom Summit and one of your favorite guests. And she has got some things to say that you are going to want to hear.
I'm Cameron. I spent years building my career and creating a life I loved. And when my Prince Charming finally showed up, he had 4 kids in tow. Fast forward through lots of mistakes made and lessons learned, step family life was much more complicated than I realized. If you're looking for help with blended family life, you're in the right place. Welcome to the Stepmom Diaries, where we keep it real as we dish about all the things. This is your weekly dose of blended family inspiration and encouragement. You're not the wicked stepmother, so let me help you find your fairy tale ending. Come on, let's do this.
Welcome. Today's guest is relationship crisis coach Jessica Frew. Jessica is a speaker at this year's Stepmom Summit, which is coming up April 25th to 28th. You can learn more about that at thestepmomsummit.com. It is going to be amazing this year. Jessica joins a whole roster of phenomenal guests. We've got 26 total. But here on the Stepmom Diaries podcast, Jessica is a three-peat guest, having first joined us back in episode 29, then on episode 65. So Jessica Frew is a wife, ex-wife, mom, stepmom, and bold, all caps, action taker. She has a successful podcast called Husband-in-Law that she records with her husband and her ex-husband, Steve. Together, they are sharing their stories of love, marriage, coming out, divorce, remarriage, and co-parenting to help others know that they're not alone. She owns The Bold Logic, a company devoted to helping people figure out the what now after a crisis in their relationship or having a partner come out. Jessica is a firm believer that by knowing and understanding what it is you really want in life, you can boldly create a life you love no matter your circumstances. Jessica is a delight. I always love having her here. So let's go ahead and jump right in. Jessica, welcome back. It is so great to see you, a three-peater.
It's always fun to be here. Always.
Yes. So I know you've been here a couple times before, and I always start with my guests asking them for their stepmom origin story. And I know that because you've been here, we've gone through that, but we do have a lot of new listeners. So maybe just like a quick nutshell of like how you met your husband. You have such an interesting background with your first marriage. Like, just give us a little bit of that.
Yeah. So my first husband and I were married for 7 years. He came out as gay 2 years into our relationship. 5 years later, we ended up divorced. He had an affair, and we just decided, we both needed to just go live our truths and be authentic to ourselves. And so that led into my step parenting journey, obviously, because now I was divorced and looking for a new partnership. I've now been remarried for 10 years, almost 11, which just blows my mind. I can't believe it's been that long. And my daughter is now 14. My stepdaughter is almost 16. And then my stepson is 17. So they're all like 3 years
Those are
apart.
the fun ages.
Yeah. And we always say that. And I have loved these ages so far. And I know there will be big things. And yes, they're hormonal and they have moments where you're just like, oh my gosh, just go to your, go do what you need to do. Go find your space. But man, they have been so fun. And it's been so fun, I think, especially on the step parenting front for me, of seeing these kids be able to develop their own relationship with me and kind of navigate that a little more without just input from their other parent. And one of the things that I should share in our story is my ex-husband and I, Steve, have a very good, and I don't even want to say good, we have a healthy relationship for us that works well for us, because I say this, I don't want to call it good or bad or anything, because everybody has their own co-parenting relationships and they are all what is right for them. None of them are good or bad or right or wrong, even though we will put that on those, we will put those labels on. But we have a working relationship that allows us to spend holidays together and birthdays together. Like Steve celebrates his birthday often at my house with my family and those types of things. So we really have created a space for that. He has a new partner who he's been with for, I think, 3 years now. And we all get to enjoy getting along to the extent that we are each other's cheerleaders. And I go to Pride and show up for them. My husband goes to Pride with me to show up for them. And all of those types of things. So we have that relationship on one side. And then on the other side with my husband's ex, we have very, I always say strict boundaries, but honestly, I have strict boundaries with my ex-husband too. But it's too, like, for years, it was like pick up and drop off are in a church parking lot and nobody approaches each other's cars and those types of things. And so I know both sides of the equation. We have what you would very much consider a high conflict relationship with Matt's ex, but have been able to kind of navigate in that way that I feel is like a good co-parenting relationship too, where it doesn't look the same and it doesn't feel the same. But we've gotten to the point where we can sit at sporting events together, should we choose, or at least like in proximity where we can like look at each other when the kids do something awesome and, you know, cheer them on and be supportive. And the kids don't have to feel as awkward when we're together. Used to be like, it would stress them out, but we've been able to
totally.
So I want to make that clear that like, I know both sides of the co-parenting dynamics. And yes, now that we're further out, I do feel that my stepkids get to navigate our relationship a little bit more, and they get to be clear about like, oh, they've seen enough of me that they know who I really am. And it's not just influenced by what their mom in this situation says about me and all of those things. And it's been really exciting to watch as they've become teenagers and to see that shift. And sometimes that's what we would consider awesome. And sometimes that's hard. Like, oh,
but what a great place to be. I've seen it too. Like the teenagers, my stepdaughter, one of my stepkids, my stepdaughter is a freshman in college, just turned 19. And I've seen that too, where you can watch them start thinking for themselves and developing their own views on stuff. And it's really just the most wonderful thing to watch. Like, and I'm like you, I've had it both ways with the kids in teenage years. Like we've had it really hard with some, but with this one in particular, like she's always been really lovely. We've always had a great relationship, and it has been really fulfilling to watch her come into her own and figure things out. And I don't know, it's a really interesting dynamic.
It's and I'm getting emotional, like just thinking about it, because it is rewarding in a way and like humbling to see those years of being put through the ringer, man, of going
oh
through
my
the
God,
crap
totally.
in step parenting and figuring that out, to kind of see like, okay, these kids are seeing who I really am and appreciating that in ways that and for me, like, especially with my stepdaughter who's turning 16, I didn't expect to see that until she was more like your stepdaughter's age or to feel that. And I'm seeing that now, and it's like the greatest joy in my life. And one of them, I mean, obviously my relationship with my daughter and, you know, like all of those things, but it is so amazing. We just got back literally last night. My stepdaughter, my daughter, and myself, we went on like our first big trip, just the three of us. And it was something I had envisioned doing with my daughter for years. And I wasn't sure how that would look, bringing my stepdaughter initially, or if I would be allowed to because of the whole dynamic. But we had the best time, and like watching them develop their friendship and relationship. It's just so exciting. And so I always like want to go back to stepmoms who are in the beginning of, or step parents, you know, in general, be like, listen, keep showing up in a way that works for you. Keep being genuine, and don't let the other person like tear that down for you. Your kids will see who you are. They will understand it, and it will come forth. And if they don't, then it will be okay. Like, it's okay. But
I love that so much. That's such a hopeful, I love that for stepmoms listening who might be in the early stages of things. 'Cause I had that experience too, where you're in the beginning and you're like, oh my God, is this ever going to get better? Like, I can't take this, and I don't know that either of us are fully on the other side, but to be able to see a little bit of that hope, that like they're figuring things out. I mean, that's amazing. What a great message for stepmoms.
Yeah. And ultimately that's why I share anything I share is just to give people a little bit of hope and understanding that no matter how this works out, as long as you know that you did things in alignment with who you are and what you genuinely felt, and we're never going to be perfect at that. Like we all make mistakes along the way, but you come out of it feeling like, okay, I did this the best I could. I did this in a way that felt right for me. If they see that, amazing. If they can't, then I can be at peace knowing I did it the best way I could. So anyway.
I love that. And that leads perfectly into what we want to talk about. So, because I do think that as stepmoms, we put so much pressure on ourselves, right? To like make everything perfect. And like, by God, if that relationship with the stepkid isn't working, I have failed. I can't do that. All of these kind of negative thoughts and feelings that creep in. I want to talk a little bit with you about boundaries, because you have done a masterful job, in terms of balancing your, child and your stepchild, and then your ex and your husband's ex. And, it's a lot of dynamic, right? Talk to me a little bit about the boundaries and what you have set and how that has helped you in your different relationships, because I think that that's something that stepmoms have a really hard time with, because we put so much pressure on ourselves. It's like we are afraid to say no, afraid to create space for ourselves, afraid to, talk to me a little bit about that.
Yeah. And what's really interesting for me in this space is that it was harder for me to set boundaries and to not feel guilt as a stepmom than in being a mom. Like I thought, okay,
totally.
I'm good at setting boundaries and not feeling mom guilt and all of those things. So this is going to be easy and like, it'll be like a natural thing. And I was like, oh no, I totally lost who I was in the first probably 3 years of our marriage of just trying to prove things. And I think partially it was for me is I came into this and on a subconscious level, was thinking I needed to prove myself. Like I'd done so much healing and I'd done really well in my first marriage of keeping true to myself. But for some reason, like when I entered this new dynamic, I felt like I need to prove my worth. These people don't know who I am. My husband and I got married very quickly. And it was so like, I need to prove my worth to everybody in this situation. And in so doing, I forgot to understand my worth in myself. Like I let go of proving my worth to myself in a way.
Yes. Let me ask you about proving your worth, because that is something I talked about this a couple of episodes ago in terms of women that compare themselves to their spouse's ex. And I talk to me a little bit about proving yourself, because I realized my first couple of years, I was the same. I was like, I got to be the best. I got to prove that we got married quickly too. And I'm like, I got to prove that I belong here and all this stuff. And I realized, like, when I really thought about who I was trying to prove it to, right, it was a little unexpected. And I was able to sort of get a handle on it, but it took a while. Talk to me a little bit about that, because that is so fascinating to me. I think so many of us fall into that, like, I got to prove myself trap.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Yeah. And I don't know, like, I knew my value, my worth. Like that's something that I feel is one of my superpowers, is just having felt that, like, even through teenage years of just owning and embodying who I am and connecting to that. And so it was really interesting to go through this phase of proving my worth. And I wasn't sure, like, even to this day, I know I was trying to prove it to Matt, to my husband. I think I was trying to prove to, of course, his ex-wife that I was worth having around and that I was a good person and that she could trust me with our kids and like all of these things. I think that was probably a big part of it. I wanted, Matt's family to see what a great person I was and all of these people. And I felt like I needed it to happen quickly because we got married so fast. I'm like, okay, I need all these people on board now. Like,
yeah, totally.
I need them to see I'm so awesome now. And in that, I threw away a lot of the things that would have been in alignment for me. I let down so many boundaries and guards that needed to be in place. And I wanted to show Matt, that I would take care of all of the things because I was a stay-at-home mom. And so I wanted to, make his life easy outside of work. And so I was communicating with his ex-wife, and I was picking up and dropping off all the kids, to all of the things, and doing all of these things that, in the same breath, I couldn't do them for my daughter because I was so involved doing them for Matt's kids.
Mm-hmm.
And while it wasn't it didn't get to the point where it was negatively impacting her, I don't think it was any big deal. She probably didn't notice. I was feeling the guilt, not guilt. I was feeling the resentment and bitterness of but I want to be the one that's picking up my daughter. I want to be there. They're at separate schools. I want to hear about her day right when she gets done. And she's in kindergarten, first grade at this point. So she's itty bitty. And it was just fun to ride the ebbs and flows with her. And so there was some of that resentment building and those things. And honestly, a lot of it wasn't put on me by anybody except myself.
Yep.
And what we think we're supposed to do. And it's so interesting. A few days ago, I saw this post and it said something about how, stepdads are glorified for taking in these children as their own, and stepmoms are villainized for it,
100%.
for showing up for these kids, for making sure they have lunches,
and there's research that backs that up too.
Yes.
I mean, it's crazy.
It is crazy. And I do it in my own head of
totally.
oh, it's so sweet that Matt does this. And then I'm I can't do, if I do that, I'm going to be in trouble. I'm what the heck? And we were talking right before we got on this call, even to the point that I can't say they're my kids. I know some people do, but I saw somebody who was posting about that the other day online. She's oh, our girls. And I'm these are not your girls. And I'm thinking,
no, I have the same thing.
How would I feel? But that's my own thing because I don't want to claim them because I do claim them, but they're not my kids to say, this is my daughter or this is my whatever. And they have a mom, they have a dad, and I get to have them as, anyway, it's such a complicated, weird thing to go through. But yes, proving my worth in that moment of I need all of these people to know how amazing I am. And not even just how amazing I am, but that I can do this and I will take care of their kids. And I'm stable. I'm reliable. I think that's more what it was, is just that proof that you can count on me. I'm here. I'm not going anywhere.
And I'm good enough.
But I did it to the extent, I'm good enough to be a part of these kids' lives. And it almost cost our marriage. I always think this is why second marriages don't last. Because we get into this phase. And I did leave at one point, and then came back. My husband didn't really want me to at that moment. He was done too. We'd both been through the ringer. And I remember walking back into our house and just getting no reaction from him at all. Being I'm back. We're going to try again. And him just no. But here we are, almost 11 years later.
Amazing.
And making it through. But it really, to get out of this, the thing that propelled my self-worth, got me back in alignment and also facilitated my husband and I being able to stay married, was me setting boundaries. And ultimately he started getting healthier boundaries. He had set extreme boundaries with me that I didn't understand, but were totally from the trauma from his first marriage. But he wasn't able to express that. And then the more he saw I was okay and was setting boundaries, the more he felt okay in loosening these extreme boundaries he had set. There are still boundaries. There always will be, because that's what makes healthy relationships. But it was hard at first for him to say, I'm setting these boundaries. I won't do this. And to not have that be a reflection of how I felt about his children, but a reflection of how we could have an actual healthy relationship and create a better relationship with his ex-wife, because I wasn't involved.
Yeah. And that's the hard thing I have found, and tell me if you have too, that, these conversations, it's so important to have them, But it's hard at first to sort of underscore that, like, hey, I'm not setting these boundaries because I don't like your kids, or because I don't want to do this stuff, or because, I don't support you in dealing with your ex-wife, or whatever that looks like. It's not because I don't want these things. It's because I have to preserve my sanity here so that I can be there for you in all the other ways.
Yeah. And in preserving our sanity, we help release tension in so many other parts of the relationships. So one of my favorite examples of this, because it sounds horrible when I say it, people are like, you did what? Like, that just sounds, it's a typical like evil stepmom type scenario.
Bring it on.
So my stepkids were at a charter school and they didn't provide lunches there. So I made lunches every day. I like feeding my people. Like, it's one of my love languages. So I made Matt lunch. I'd make Penny, my daughter, lunch, and my stepkids lunches. And then we got into this nasty, it wasn't a court battle. It was a domestic violence charge. My husband's ex-wife accused my husband of assaulting her. I was there the whole time. He did not lay a finger on her. But she said that he chest bumped her 8 times. And
yikes.
He's a big boy.
I feel like you would notice that.
If he'd done it once, she would have been flat on her back on the ground because he's a big boy. And the cops normally would have arrested somebody right then for a domestic violence charge with kids because the kids were present. And he wasn't, which our attorney was then like, well, obviously they didn't believe you or believe her because it was such a weird thing. So we're going through this whole time and all of these things are getting documented and pulled, and she is showing up at the school every day and all this crazy stuff is happening. And just nuts. There's restraining orders that then got thrown out, but she would show up at the school in the morning and then he couldn't drop the kids off at school because she's there and he's legally not allowed to go within, a certain number of feet with her, and kids' activities, she would show up so he couldn't drop them off. And then she's accusing him of not, dropping the kids off at their activities or bringing them to school. So it's this whole crazy thing. And in this process, I'm, still showing up, feeding these kids lunches and all of these things and trying to make things as comfortable as possible as we can through this process. And it was right after Halloween and Penny didn't have school that day. They did. And for some reason they thought I had put candy in Penny's lunch, but not their lunches. And they went to their mom and told them that they were pissed. And I'm like, Penny didn't even have school today. First and foremost, she didn't have school. And then then we're getting court information back. And it says in the paperwork, I am withholding food from the kids' lunches. And she then starts showing up at the kids' school every day to check their lunch boxes.
Stop it.
To make sure I'm putting food in them. So, and I'm not saying this to bash on her. This is the situation.
Yeah.
But people hear the story and I'm as soon as they were in a public school where there was lunch served, I set the boundary. I will no longer be making these lunches.
Yeah.
I will not do it because it physically stressed me out. I would be so tense making stupid lunches for school. And also, then they have to deal with, once these kids get to school, their mom is there checking their lunch that I am sending them.
How awful for them. Yeah.
How crappy is that they're in the middle of this situation? And so when people hear this or saw this playing out, they're like, you won't make your kids a lunch? And I'm like, no, I will not make my stepkids lunches. And they were like, but why? And I'm like, ultimately, it provides the most peace and comfort and safety for everybody in this situation.
Yep.
First of all, I'm not resentful or stressed out making lunches about, okay, what are they going to say? Because they are kids and they know they can, manipulate things or get things.
Oh, yeah.
And
yes, they do.
It's their mom and they're connected to her in a reaction of her freaking out against me. All of these little things that go into it. So I'm like, nope, I won't do it. But in that, I know people were like, that is so ridiculous. You were such a jerk. And to the extent that sometimes she would show up at schools with lunches for them on our weeks because of all this. So I'm just like, whatever. This doesn't mean anything about me. But it was hard in that my husband saying you're not going to make my kids lunch. I'm like, no. And I explained to him very clearly why, and he still was kind of like, okay. And he never was rude about it, but I could tell it was like a thing.
Yeah.
And then he saw, like within a few weeks, that it brought less tension to everybody. I wasn't as stressed or worked up and like all of these things. And he's like, I get it. Like this totally makes sense. And it felt better for everybody.
Mm-hmm.
But it's like one of those things that was a boundary I set. And still to this day, like my stepdaughter lives with me full time. My stepson lives with his mom full time. My stepdaughter has asked me to start making her lunches because I still make Penny and Matt lunches. And like I said, that's just one of my love languages. And I'm like, okay, but I need you to know, like, these are, types of things. And she's like, I'm good. Put whatever in it. We're fine. And I'm like, okay, fine. Like, I'm good with it now. I said, you're just going to get whatever's going in your dad's lunch. Like, I'm just duplicating it and sending it over. She's like, great. But it's taken me, she's almost 16.
Yeah. But she's also,
like,
I love this. She's old enough to like understand, and like we were talking about at the beginning of the conversation, like how wonderful that she sort of has been able to like see things play out and get to a point where she's like, you know what? Jessica's lunches are pretty good. I think I'd like to have some of those lunches, But I think this is
feeding myself.
It's such an amazing example on so many levels, right? Like, I know we're talking about boundaries and stuff, but I also want to say, like, what an example of the stuff that step families deal with, that when we explain it to someone that either isn't familiar with step families or isn't in our family or whatever, it is so easy for people to make a judgment about how we're interacting with our stepkids, how we're interacting with our spouses or the ex, or boundaries we're putting into place. And because our families are more complicated, it's not as simple as I'm not making lunch for my stepkids. Yes, that is factually true, but there's more to the story. And so if anyone, I know we have mostly stepmoms listening to this, but this is a great example, stepmoms, for you to talk about with the people in your life so that they understand that when they see you making a decision that they may not understand, that they should trust that there may be a lot of other stuff going on under the surface that they're not aware of, and have some empathy, because that's a really hard position that stepmoms are put in every day. Every day.
Every day. Like all of these weird little nuanced things that somebody's going to judge you about, but just knowing that it's in alignment with you is all that you need to know.
Yep.
And this also gives us grace when you hear somebody else doing something, whether it's their stepkids or their biological kids or whatever part of their life it's in, of recognizing, I don't know the full story here.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know why doing this weird thing that to me seems so ridiculous or dumb, or just like make the dang lunch you're already making them, like those types of things. I can't make that judgment because I don't know the other side of that story.
Exactly.
And sometimes when I drop into judgment of somebody else, I'm like, hold back, step back here, Jess. Here are some things that you've been judged for.
Totally.
And it makes it so much easier to be like, you go, girl. Do that thing that feels right for you. Embrace it.
Yep.
And go do what feels right for you, because I don't know why. I don't need to know why.
So for stepmoms, for stepmoms who are listening, who are like, oh my God, I've had that happen so many times, and someone asked me about why we're doing this and I don't know what to tell them. What would you tell them now that you have like been through that situation where you've been misjudged for, there's more to the dynamic, and, maybe it's somebody at work, maybe it's a friend or whatever, somebody that like, you're just not going to get into all the like dirty details with,
Ultimately I tell people this is what works for my family. And that's all that matters. And sometimes I'll say, this is what brings the most peace to my stepkids. And if I don't want to get into, all the dirty details around it, because ultimately that was a long story I just told you about why I don't make my kids lunches. I don't make my stepkids lunches because of this thing, because of this one, like, It's
but it was such a
documented.
great illustration of all the things we're talking about.
It is. And it's one, like I said, it's one I always go back to when I like want stepmoms to feel seen and supported and understood of like, you need to set your own boundaries of what does and doesn't work for you. And do the things that work for you. And like another like random side note in this that I always think of is like another thing that I got like bashed on for doing, and directly by my husband's ex, was taking the kids to the gym on our time. So I would take them to the gym when I'd go work out, and they would go to like the kids' play areas and they would have a good time. And I would feel like $100. But their mom would get like really mad at me, which was interesting because I usually invited her to come with us and like work out with me and then see the kids and whatever. But then after we weren't to that point, she started bashing me for it. Like, oh my gosh, why are you taking them to the gym? They don't like being there and all this stuff. And it was a whole big thing. And so then I'm like, okay, I can't go work out now when I have the kids. Like, I can't do that. And I was like, no, that's bullcrap. I'm still going. Like, I still need this, like for my mental health. And the kids enjoy the time out of my care. Like they enjoy being autonomous and having some time to interact with other people. And it was right after I made that decision, my stepson, who's like probably 7 at the time, wrote me this note. And it said, Jessica, thank you for taking me to the gym. I love being there and like all this stuff. And I'm like, okay, this is one of those little reminders that, you know what, people are going to say and judge things. They don't know what's best for you and your family. They don't know
100%.
what's best for your time. It's okay to take care of yourself. Even if the kid doesn't love going to the gym, like even if he didn't, it would still be okay.
And
okay.
That's like a whole different podcast subject, but I have lots of feelings about like kids. It doesn't have to be Disney all the time. Like,
no, we got to teach them in real life too.
Yes.
And then it's okay for me to take care of myself. Therefore, they can take care of themselves.
Exactly.
Like, what are things that you need to do to take care of yourself too?
Yeah. But I love that to illustrate the point that like, you don't need to always put a huge amount of weight on the judgments that are being made by the ex, because those come with a lot of like preconceived notions, a lot of biases, and you need to worry about you. And
what's happening
it's
in
hard.
your own home.
It's hard to let that go, I think, for a lot of stepmoms, you know.
So hard. And also the most freeing thing you will ever do in your life.
Totally.
And that's why when I talk about like boundaries, I'm like, if you are acting in alignment with your values, and setting those boundaries in alignment with who you know yourself to be, then you start shedding that need to prove anything or to prove your worth. And you start shedding that like knee-jerk reaction to defend yourself when they come at you. I got to the point where I was like, listen, you have to do all communication with her. I will not communicate with her.
Yep, I did the same thing.
And unless there is an emergency, like I have not blocked her on my phone purely because if there is an emergency, I want to be available. I want that to be an open communication. But, and I didn't even tell her explicitly that was my boundary. I never said that she couldn't text me anymore. But she got the point when I stopped responding, or when it was something that needed a response, I had Matt respond instead. Like, I made the point, and it wasn't something I needed to explicitly say.
And that's a great point about boundaries. It's like, you don't always have to like shout them from the rooftops.
No. Mm-mm. And like, I told Matt I wasn't making the kids lunches too, going back to that scenario, but I did. I told Matt, I didn't tell his kids, like this is just how it's going to be. Matt's the one who then relayed that on, because ultimately I was like, listen, these are conversations that need to start coming from you, and not like, oh, Jessica said this and Jessica did that. Like I'm done playing that game. And so putting that back in his court was huge. But don't respond. Don't defend yourself, especially in text. Like, man, that was the most freeing thing ever. I would still get random texts from her. They were usually very aggressive and mean. And I would show Matt, and then I would delete it. I did not save them. I do not screenshot them. I don't I don't need this energy in my life, and I am not responding.
I call that the what a bitch moment.
Yes.
When you get to the point where you can get an email or a text and you can look at it and go, what a bitch, and move on.
Yes.
That's the what a bitch moment. And then it's so freeing.
Yeah. And it's like, I actually got a text from her this morning, which is so funny because I rarely, like maybe once every couple of years, get a text from her. And it's about nothing co-parenting related, like nothing. She just needs something. But I was just like, I used to, if I saw her name pop into my messages, like I would start shaking. Like it would instantly send me, my heart rate would jump. I would start shaking. And I don't feel that anymore. Now, do I want to get these texts? No. Like it's not something I enjoy. It's not something that I want. First of all, I think there's an emergency now. Like now I'm like, oh crap, like what is happening?
Yeah.
But it's not the same as it was. And it's so freeing, like when you can just say what a bitch. And
it is amazing.
And also like, give yourself grace when you aren't to that point yet. Like I used to, sometimes when I'd have interactions with her, like something would come through, even if it was just a one way where she sent me something or tried something. And I'd be like, Matt, I need to go for a run. I'm not okay. I will be fine. Like, I know that this doesn't mean anything. I know it's not, but I'm still like, my body's revved up. I need to go do something for myself. You'd be like, go do it. And then I would come back and be like, okay, I'm good. I just need, or sometimes it was like, I need to go shopping by myself. Not that I needed to buy a ton of things, but I just needed to be out and, whatever it is for you, like take that moment in that what a bitch moment and take some time for yourself if you need to, like create that space, like acknowledge whatever the level of intensity it is for you there. And that also you don't have to defend yourself because you know who you are and why you were doing the things you do. And then you get to move on and progress and proceed forward. So, yeah.
I love it. Jessica, I could talk to you all day long. This has been so wonderful. And I always feel like so empowered after we talk. So I'm so glad to have you back. And for everybody listening, you can hear Jessica again at this year's Stepmom Summit, which is April 25th to the 28th. We added an extra day this year. It's going to be amazing. So I will put a link in the show notes for you to head on over and snag your free spot. But you can find us at thestepmomsummit.com. Jessica, thank you.
Yeah, thanks for having me. So excited for the summit.
That's it for this week. If you've enjoyed our chat, I hope you'll help spread the word. Share this episode with friends and head on over to wherever you listen to podcasts and leave me a review. And don't forget, for more great stepmom content, head on over to thiscustomlife.com and follow me on social media. Just search This Custom Life on Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, and Pinterest. Until next time, you keep being you and know that we are in this together. See you here next week.